Hey, this is Edward Stunga from Videoplasty, and in this video guide we will have a look at the Wondershare DemoCreator, which is a wonderful screen recording and video editing software that is super easy to use and most importantly is incredibly affordable. So this is gonna come in handy if you're, for example, starting a YouTube channel, or maybe you want to do some sort of online video tutorials, or maybe now you're a teacher, for example, and during COVID times you gotta do some online classes to teach people and teach your students. So that's gonna be very, very useful to know how to do. Or you can also use the Wondershare DemoCreator to record gaming videos, which not a lot of screen capture software are able to do. So that's also a super cool feature as well. So let's get started. Once you install the Wondershare DemoCreator and you open it up, you're gonna have this welcome screen asking you if you want to capture a video or do a video edit. But in our case, let's go ahead and capture a video because that's the main component of this software. So you are going to have a couple of options here. As you can see, it already starts the webcam by default. You can see the microphone, recording sound there. It's definitely on and it's working. And you can select to record the full screen. And as you can see now, there's a red highlight around the screen on the bottom, like around the edges actually. Or you can select a target window. So for example, maybe you want to record just this screen, just this window from the browser. As you can see now, the red highlight is around this window. And if I click on it, it's going to record just that. But in our case, I want to record the full screen. Now let's also have a look at some more advanced settings that you want to make sure you set up right before you record any video. So here on the top right of this screen, you can click on setting and you're going to have a few more advanced settings here. So as I said, you want to record the full screen most of the times, and for frame rate, depending on your project, if it's an online tutorial then, or any sort of online video that goes on YouTube, in most cases, you want to go with 30 frames per second because you don't want to complicate things. But if you're recording a gaming video, for example, or anything like that, you can go to like 60 or maybe 120 frames per second, no problem at all. But keep in mind, the higher the frame rate, the higher the file size as well. All right, so let's move to audio. Of course, you want to capture audio, but if for whatever reason you don't, just make sure to turn it off and disable it here. What's also super important is to select the microphone input. You can select the native microphone that comes with a laptop, but in our case, I'm going to use my external microphone, which is a Blue Yeti microphone, because the quality is much better. So if you have an external microphone, then go for it. It's going to be much better to record using that. But if you don't sweat it and just use the microphone that comes with your laptop. For the camera, you can select different cameras if you have multiple cameras for whatever reason. You can change the resolution. Personally, I like to go with higher resolution because it's just better. And I want to match the frame rate of the video camera to the frame rate of the screen recording. So I'll change this to 30 frames as well. And for the advanced settings, you don't want to touch this. It's just the default location where it's going to save the recording. The encoding, again, just keep it on high. And if you want to use a couple of shortcuts, which might come in handy, you can change them here to start, pause, or resume recording. And of course, those are shortcuts for Mac. On Windows, they're going to look a little bit different, but in case you want them, just know they're here. All right, so once I'm done with that, I'll just go back to capture. And when you're ready to start recording, I'll press this red button to start recording. And it's going to start recording in a couple of seconds. And now we're live, it's recording. And of course, I don't want this on screen, so I'll just minimize it. And now it's just time to, talk about a couple of things in my presentation, whatever tutorial I'm doing. I'll just use this simple whiteboard application to draw a couple of things. And let's assume that was it. Once you're done doing any sort of screen capture that you're doing, you can go here on top. On Windows, it's going to be on the bottom, obviously, and open the recorder again. And now you can click this big red button to end the recording. And now it's going to take a couple of seconds to export all of that in this video editing component of the software. So as a quick introduction, here on the left, we have the media and a couple of other different things as well, like captions, annotations. Here on the bottom is going to be the timeline where I'll drag and drop our recording. Here in the middle is where you will be able to see what you're currently editing right now. And if you have any of those clips selected, here on the top right is where you have some of the properties and things that you can change about each clip, whether it's the audio or the video. So I'll quickly go through some of the very basic things you need to know when you're editing a recording. One super useful thing to know is that you can use this button right here to split things in two, right, like that. But keep in mind, if you split something like that, you want to split all three components. So the track on the bottom is going to be the screen recording, the one in the middle is the webcam recording, and the one on top is the audio. So I'll just go ahead and split all of them. For example, you can use this when you made a mistake or you just want to delete a portion of the video. So now I'll select all three tracks and hit the delete key on the keyboard and select those and move them all the way to the beginning of the timeline. So let's have a quick look at some of the properties. If you select the audio, here on the top right, you can lower the volume, for example, which is what I'm going to do. You can also enable this thing called denoise, which is actually working incredibly well. So you can turn it on here, and what it's going to do is it's going to remove the background noise. For example, if there's like an AC going on or like the fridge humming in the background or like the fan of your computer. And you can select the value, like depending how much of it you want to use. But keep in mind, the higher you go, it's going to remove more of the background noise, but it's going to start distorting your voice as well. So play around with that and see what works for you. Next, let's have a quick look at the track with the webcam. You can select it here like this, move it around. Maybe you want to move it on the bottom left corner for whatever reason. You can also resize it like this. And here are the properties. There's a lot of other things as well, but honestly, I don't recommend you use any of the other because in most cases, you will only have to reposition it. Or maybe you can also play with the opacity if you want to do that. Make it a little bit transparent if that's something that you like. Personally, I will go with 100% because that's just standard. Now let's move to the screen recording. Of course, you can edit a lot of things on the actual screen recording, like you can zoom in, for example. You can rotate it like this for whatever reason if you want to do that. I'll just go ahead and click this button to reset it. But what I want to really show you here, because I think it's super awesome, is if you go here to the cursor tab. You can actually increase the size of the cursor, as you can see here in the middle, which I think is something super cool if you want people to find it much easier to follow your cursor and what you're doing. And I also will increase the opacity to 100% to make sure it's super clear to see the cursor and see what I'm doing. All right. Next, let's have a quick look here on the top left. You can also add some sort of captions or an opener. So let's just go ahead and add some sort of title screen like this, drag and drop it on top. All of this is editable. You can just, double click on the text and just write your title here. And of course, here on the right on the properties, you have all the text editing settings you would expect, like font size, alignment, color, and all that cool stuff. So this is how you add a little bit of a title that's already pre-animated. If I click play to preview it, it's going to be super, super nice. And it's going to add a little bit more professionalism to the video. All right, let's pause this. Next, you can add some, dialog boxes as well, some annotations depending on whatever you're doing. And it's super easy to move them around, resize them, edit the text as well here on the right. but I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing that. It's actually super easy. Just feel free to explore and have fun with it, because that's the best way for you to learn how to use this software. And I like that it already has some sort of, animation effects here, or like background videos or stuff about education. But let's just have a quick look at the animation effects. Like, for example, you want to add fireworks for whatever reason. I'll just add it here on top of the titles. And it's just there. It's super fun, and just adds a little bit of something to the video. Some emojis as well if you want to add those. Yeah, why not? Let's just add an emoji as well, and of course, move it around to position it whatever you want on the screen. Next, you have some transitions which are pretty creative, and you can use those transitions, for example, if you want to move from one part of the video to another, or like you recorded different videos at different times. But in our case, let's just pretend that we have two videos actually. So I'll just go ahead and split this and just pretend this is actually another recording. And the way to use the transitions is super simple. You just drag and drop it like this in between videos. You want to make sure it's on both videos on the ends and the beginning. And I'll do the same thing with the track on the bottom. So now let's have a quick look and see how that looks like. There we go. It's actually super useful if, either you make a mistake or you move to a different part of the recording or you talk about something else completely. It's up to you how you use them creatively. Next, there's also something called green screen. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about this one because I don't have a green screen setup here. But for example, if for your webcam you have a green screen setup, a green screen background with some good lighting as well, you can drag and drop this effect on your webcam video, and then you can select the color here and just click on the background. In your case, it's going to be a green background, and it's just going to remove all the background, and it's just going to keep the shape of your body. And that's something super cool to have if you're into that sort of thing. Personally, I'm not a big fan myself, but if you want to use it, it's there. And next, what I really like to use is this thing right here on the cursor tab. It's actually super nice, and I think it's very, very useful. Let's go for each one in order. So the cursor highlight, I'll just drag and drop it here on the recording track. And as you can see here now, it highlighted the cursor. So anywhere the cursor moves, is going to be, highlighted in yellow, or you can change the color here to green or whatever you like, depending on your video. Something that really, really stands out, so your audience can, follow your cursor much easier. And to also follow, for example, what you're doing with a cursor whenever you're clicking, you can also add those things here called click rings. And I'll just drag and drop this as well. I'm not sure we'll be able to see that. Let's see if I clicked. Yeah, there you go. That was a circle. So anytime you click, there's going to be a circle to highlight the fact that you're clicking, which I think is super, super useful. And if you want to highlight the fact that you're clicking even more, you can use a click sound as well. So I'll just go ahead, drag and drop that as well here on the video. And now the audience is going to have a much easier time to follow my cursor, see what I'm doing on screen, and what sort of buttons I'm pushing. For example, if you do a tutorial on how to use a software. All right, so when it's all said and done and you're ready to export your edit, you're going to go here on the top right where it says export. And it's just going to ask you a couple of very basic things. We're just going to use those here on the top. So for format, you want to go with MP4. Maybe if you're on a Mac, you can use MOV, but in most cases, I suggest you go with MP4. You also have the ability to export as a GIF image file. Keep in mind the GIF doesn't include any audio. It's just the visuals basically. And I suggest you only keep this if you want to, if you have a video that's like 5, maybe 10 seconds. If it's anything longer than that, the GIF is just going to have a massive file size. And if you want to export just the audio of your edit, you can do that as well by using the MP3. format. In our case, we will select MP4. Of course, you can give your project a name for the actual file name, and you can change the directory where it exports, but I'll just go with the default one. And here on the bottom, you have the encoding settings for the video and the audio. I honestly suggest you leave those as they are. And when you're ready, just click export. And now, depending on the complexity of your project, the length of it, how many effects you added, and also how powerful your computer is, this is going to take a while. Could be a couple of seconds, could be a couple of minutes. So let's just fast forward to that. All right, so now we just finished exporting the project. So I'm just gonna open the folder, and as you can see, the file size is pretty good, like 95 megabytes. That's very, very good. And now if I just open the video, I can play it back, and everything plays back super smoothly. The quality is absolutely amazing. So I'm personally very happy and very impressed with the software. I think it does a really, really good job. All right, so if you want to get the Wondershare DemoCreator, you can download it from their website. It's actually free to use and download for both Windows and Mac. And the only limitation of the free version, if you're using the free trial, is that whenever you're exporting a video, it will have a watermark on it. Personally, I don't like to have a watermark, so I just suggest you go ahead and actually purchase it because it's super, super affordable. As you can see, for Windows, the annual plan is $24 per year, which is like $2 per month. I think that's super, super affordable. And for Mac, it's a little bit more expensive at $30 per year. Or you can also get a lifetime license for only $48. Also, make sure to check the coupon code in the description to get a 10% discount on the annual plan. All right, I hope you enjoyed this Wondershare DemoCreator guide, and I hope you will make some amazing screen capture videos using it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button to help with the YouTube algorithm. If you have any questions, please leave them below this video in the comment section, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. For more content like this, more video software reviews, guides, tutorials, and just video marketing content in general, make sure to subscribe to this channel. My name is Edward Stânga from Videoplasty, and I'll see you in the next video.